growth in the mobile devices, so they're going to cash in on that as well.
Okay. Thanks, Bryce, as always. Thanks to Jonas as well, and thanks to you for joining us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here next week for another edition of Cash.
I'm Brian Wilson in Washington for Tony Snow for the next 2 hours. The missing bride from Georgia has been found alive and well 1,400 miles from home. But you are not going to believe all the twists and turns in this story. And feds in Miami bust a crew that was selling real driver's licenses fresh out of the DMV to who knows who for who knows what. Were they selling them to terrorists? Then the Minutemen stood guard on the U.S.-Mexican border for a month, and now they've decided they are not going to fade quietly away. All that and a whole lot more right here on Weekend Live. It was supposed to be her wedding day. 600 invited guests, 14 bridesmaids and groomsmen. Everything put on hold earlier this week when Jennifer Wilbanks went for a late-night jog and then vanished under very mysterious circumstances. She reportedly had $40 in her pocket at the time. She left her wallet and keys behind. Foul play was suspected. Her fiancé even took a polygraph to clear his name. Then overnight, a flurry of revelations. First, she called her fiancé from Albuquerque and said she had been abducted. Early this morning, when Greta Van Susteren talked to her family, they were ecstatic upon learning that she was okay.
She called collect, you know, like children do. He knew that. So I did get to talk to her, and she's doing as well as can be expected. She said, "Mom, I'm scared, I'm cold, and I want to come home."
But wait, there's more. Early this morning, the Albuquerque police chief addressed reporters with some surprising news. It turns out there was no abduction. It was simply a case of a bride with cold feet.
At approximately 4 a.m. this morning, Ms. Wilbanks informed agents and detectives that she had not been abducted as she had originally claimed. Agents and detectives learned that Ms. Wilbanks had become scared and concerned about her pending marriage and decided that she needed some time alone. Ms. Wilbanks had traveled from the Georgia area to Las Vegas, Nevada via bus. Earlier today, she traveled from Las Vegas back to the Albuquerque area, again via bus, arriving this evening. She remained in the Albuquerque area, traveling around the Southeast area Heights until approximately 23:38 hours when she called 911.
The family heard that news along with the rest of America on TV, and the mood in Duluth, Georgia changed almost immediately. The family regrouped at the stunning turn of events and issued this statement to reporters.
We're so proud, first of all, that Jennifer is alive and well. We can't stress enough that is the most important fact that has occurred today. We're so appreciative also to all the people who have supported us, they've supported the family, they've supported this community in all their efforts. It has been determined that Jennifer has some issues the family was not aware of. We're looking forward to loving her and talking with her concerning these issues.
Well, now we go live to Duluth, where Todd Connor has been following this story, this roller coaster of event. Todd, what's the latest there?
Hi there, Brian. Well, we are at the church where John and Jennifer were scheduled to be married this evening. That marriage now postponed, though we're not sure it's going to be canceled altogether or what's going to happen exactly. Right now, the family wanting to focus on getting Jennifer back home and trying to help her resolve those issues you heard her uncle talking about. Try to help her get over whatever's troubling her. Now, we did see her mother leave the house where all the family members are gathered earlier this morning. A producer of ours described the mood inside right now as positive. Some people are praying. John, we're told, is actually resting at this point, her fiance. We're not sure if Jennifer's mother was actually headed for the airport when she left, but what we can tell you is 6 family members who were supposed to be on a flight this morning canceled their reservations, though we're not sure that it's possible they did manage to get on another flight out to Albuquerque. Now, meanwhile, Jennifer's fiance, John, hasn't spoken publicly since the news broke, but here's what a family minister had to say.
John has spoken with Jennifer. There's no hostility. Obviously, there's all kinds of emotions, and I can't speak for John.
Now, earlier this morning, John had walked out on his porch giving a victory sign to friends and family after hearing his bride-to-be was, in fact, alive and safe in New Mexico. That's when the roller coaster of emotion friends and family of Jennifer were riding hit its highest point since she had gone missing. But within only a few hours, they all realized they were in yet for another ride, as Jennifer had hitched a ride on a Greyhound bus, apparently overcome by the stress of planning this huge wedding.
Sure, we were all disappointed, maybe a little embarrassed, but you know what? If you remember all the interviews yesterday, we were praying, at this point, let her be a runaway bride. So God was faithful. Jennifer's alive, and we're all thankful for that.
And Brian, we're just finding out some news about a bus ticket that Jennifer may have purchased. A woman matching her description, going under the name of Wendy Mason, last week purchased a Greyhound bus ticket in Gainesville, where Jennifer is from. Purchased a ticket from Atlanta to Austin. Now, this past Tuesday, the night that Jennifer had gone missing, that ticket was actually used on that 10:30 bus ride out of Atlanta. So that could have been the ride that she was on. Back to you, Brian.
All right, Todd Connor reporting from Duluth, Georgia, where this bizarre story has taken place. One can't help but understand the emotions that the family have been through over the past few days. A roller coaster, first fearing for the life of their daughter, and now finding out that she's okay. And then finding out that there has been a large and huge deception that has been foisted on the family. Joining us now on the phone is Hal Louder, a friend of the Wilbanks family. Mr. Louder, tell us about the emotional roller coaster this family must be going through. One can only imagine the trauma that they've endured.
You know, exactly. And everybody, it's just a ripple effect all through the community because, there's not a person in Hall County, and in the same here, I understand, in Duluth, that doesn't know this family in one way, shape, or form through their business, through their activities, school, and things like that. So it's been a roller coaster ride for everybody. But the number one thing is, right now, is Jennifer's alive. They're getting her home. That's more than some people have. We have a case here where a body was found just up the road 5 years ago, cold case, and they don't have any closure at this time, so they have their child here. So that's one of the important things.
Yeah, bittersweet news, but how is the family taking all this? What has been their response? Have you talked to them?
No, sir, I haven't. I haven't had any contact since this occurred. The last contact I had was last night with one of the family members, and they were weary. He was tired. They were wore out last night. So no, I haven't had any contact with any of them. Other than I did leave a message on his cell phone. Whoopee, whoopee, and just as excited as they were at 3 o'clock this morning.
Talk about the community.
The community, the outreach in Gainesville. I've been listening to the radio this morning. Everybody's glad that she's home. That's the important thing. They're glad that she's home. A lot of people, I think right now is a time for a lot of compassion. Okay, let's get her home. It's like we talked about last week. There's plenty of time to do this other stuff. Let's get her home. Let's love on her. Be compassionate. Our lack of compassion sometimes really, puts us in a bind, So let's just be compassionate right now, and there's plenty of time for this other stuff because she's coming home. All
right. Hal Louder, a friend of the family, thank you for joining us there. We greatly appreciate it. I must say there are a lot of unanswered questions. How did Jennifer Wilbanks get halfway across the country with reportedly only $40 in her pocket? Why did she go to Las Vegas and then to Albuquerque? Joining me to talk more about this case is former FBI Special Agent Jack Tremarco, who, among other things, is a bit upset that a runaway bride caused so much mayhem and wasted so much police power. This irritates you to some degree, doesn't it, Jack?
Well, Brian, I'm really not irritated. It's not my place to be irritated. I just hope that this doesn't have a ripple effect on future investigations that might somehow diffuse the emotion or the strength and the effort put into finding other victims that are true victims.
Well, and that's a very valid point, and part of the reason why we've continued to stay on this story for just at least a little bit. Let me ask you this. There are some things that don't quite add up in your mind, like how she got all the way across the country with reportedly only $40, no credit card, no wallet. Does this raise questions in your mind?
Well, I think that it starts long before when she actually left. One of the things that I questioned early on was, why did she leave her ring behind? Was that symbolic, or was that something she always did when she went for a run? Of course, the other thing that's been scrutinized by many profilers across the country is, did she normally go for runs at 8:30 at night? Everyone says no. Now, that could be the fact that it's a hectic schedule, getting ready for the wedding, and she wanted to get her run in, or it could have been, I can't take it anymore, or a rendezvous with someone else.
Well, and that's my question.
I think we noticed.
Do you think that there's someone else who helped her?
Well, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm sure that the FBI knows.
Let me ask you the question. What does your experience tell you?
My experience tells me that when, gosh, I did 18 polygraphs. We call them confirmatory polygraphs in the Bureau. When we have a victim that the story just doesn't add up, and they stick to their story, and we ask them to take a polygraph. I did that 18 times. Mind you, we don't polygraph all victims. Most people who say they're victims are actually victims of crime or circumstance. And so it's got to be the case agent that says, you know, something's wrong here, as in this case. Eventually, if Jennifer stuck to her story, she would have been asked to take an FBI polygraph test. Now, of those 18 that I polygraphed, all 18 failed, and all 18 confessed that either they were on a suicide run and couldn't do it, and eventually they got, you know, like from Las Vegas to Los Angeles, they got here, they couldn't take their own life, and then they needed to save face. And so they made up a story that they'd been carjacked or kidnapped or whatever, and of course the polygraph got to the bottom line.
And I just want to get one more time at this point. Does your experience tell you that she probably could have done this by herself, or is it possible she had some help?
Well, Brian, I understand your question, and my answer is there's no way for me to know that right now. Certainly, the hair at the crime scene or the alleged crime scene, she didn't know that if you cut your hair, law enforcement can tell whether it was cut or pulled. Obviously, it was left there to make it look like she was in a struggle, but if it's cut, more likely it's to don a disguise.
All right, Jack, I appreciate your guidance on this and your information. We appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you, Brian.
A terror crackdown in Miami nets a crime ring that was selling real driver's licenses right out of the DMV, but those weren't the only important documents for sale. This is an incredible story. And later, the hunt for weapons of mass destruction in Iraq is over, but should searchers still be looking elsewhere? Maybe Syria? Back in just a moment.
Tonight at Red Roof Inn, guests get great deals at redroof.com.
Oh, that deal's hot!
And get a great deal more than they expected.
How low can you go?
Don't miss red hot deals from Red Roof Inn and Accor Hotel.
Are you in the process of buying a new home? Well, whether or not you've secured a great deal on your financing, you owe it to yourself to call or log on to ditech.com. We'll provide you with the most competitive rates available. Log on or call 1-800-DITECH-1.
Imagine a best-selling minivan, now at a 5-star crash safety rating, and give it a longer powertrain warranty. Back it with 5 years roadside assistance and price it right. What would you have? The Kia Sedona. It's not only a better value, it's a smarter buy. Get a 2005 Sedona for $18,120 after $3,000 cash back. Hurry, offer ends soon.
That's just so wrong.
Who's up for Outback? Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right.
You know you want them! New Honey Bunches of Old cereal bar!
If you don't have time to sit down and eat a bowl of cereal, take the bar with you. You got it on the go.
Because trucks don't have bowl holders. The only thing they could do to make it better is to add fruit.
Big chunks of fruit.
And they do that